We are live. Hello and welcome to The Lion Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. Today we have the great pleasure of talking to Andrew Kapp. He is a law of attraction expert, a winning author. His book on Amazon was #1 for law of attraction. It has over 1,000 five-star reviews. And Andrew's just an awesome guy. So Andrew, why don't you kind of introduce yourself and just tell everybody who you are and what you're up to?
Rob, thank you so much for having me. First of all, really excited to be here on the Lion Show. As you just said, I'm Andrew, otherwise known as that guy who wrote the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. And yeah, that's not just a promise, that's the actual title of the book. So you can tell I'm the type of person who likes to make bold, ambitious moves. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years now. And really this latest venture, this latest business where I'm is the most fulfilling that I've had. And I'm really just enjoying the ride, really enjoying, like you said, the five-star reviews. I mean, they're a wonderful affirmation that the content that I put out there for that market really connected with people and gave them something they were looking for. So yeah, I'm just a happy camper along for the ride, learning as I go and hopefully helping people along the way.
Yeah, that's wonderful, man. So why don't you tell everybody kind of the story of how your law of attraction journey began?
For sure, man. Well, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and even people like salespeople that are working on commission, because it's we could all relate in the sense that having to kill your own dinner, so to speak. I mean, and not that a 9 to 5 job is easy, but there is something to be said where where you're salaried and you have one bad day, you're still getting paid the same amount of money. So I think a lot of people can relate to having to put that money in. And at least in my experience and other people I've met, oftentimes when we're in that kind of a challenging, rise to the occasion type of scenario, we seek out positive modalities, personal development, ways of mindset that's going to help us along the way. So law of attraction was one thing of many early on. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 16, 17, maybe 18 years ago at this point. It's all a big blur. Just that was one of the many things that I'd stumbled on. We're like, hey, there might be something to this. And I used to think that it was inconsistent because I had successes and failures with it. But what I would later find out is I was inconsistent. I would start to use it, it would start to work, and then, which we can talk about, the funny thing about the human mind, I would stop, and then things would go back. And I kind of hit a wall in 2008 where I lost that first business and a girlfriend of 3 years all within the same week. And it was harsh. She didn't even like break up in person or even over a phone call. She like broke up over text. So it was a rough go. And I kind of had like, obviously I was down, I was depressed, and I was like looking at my life, like, what am I doing here? I've wasted my 20s on this business and this relationship. Nothing's going right. But I had this almost like epiphany, like, hey, this law of attraction thing kind of works whenever I did do it. And I got stubborn and indignant enough where I was like, I don't care what happens, how it happens, why it happens, when it happens. I'm going all in with this thing once and for all to see what really happens. And when I say all in, I don't mean all day, every day, because again, I understood enough about the human mind to know that I was going to burn out and that wasn't going to matter no matter how pissed I was. But I was upset and stubborn enough that I can do 5 or 10 minutes every single day, simple gratitude or visualization techniques or whatever it might be. And my results were nothing short of miraculous. Within 2 weeks, I felt better, which is saying a lot with a broken heart. Within 3 months, I'm in a way better, healthier relationship and completely over my ex. Within 4 months, I'm making more money than at any point in my life before then. And within 6 months, like everything changed. I was in the best shape of my life. I'm waking up happy and fulfilled. Everything was working on all cylinders. And it didn't occur to me back then to write a book about it. It was just about me improving my life. I realized this works if you work it. And it was only like 2019 where it's like, listen, I want to do something new in business. What do I know? What do I care about? Where if a customer writes in, I'm going to be engaged. I'm not going to be bored. I'm going to be happy to have this connection and serve them. And this came to mind. So I just basically gave myself permission to write what I hoped would be that final book anyone would ever need, with the understanding that whether it's law of attraction or weight loss or relationships or marketing, we tend to overconsume information and under implement it. What if I can hold a mirror up to people while teaching them about the law of attraction so that they finally can get out of their own way, use it, get the result, and then they wouldn't learn from me or the book. They would learn from the life experience of receiving the result based on what they were actually doing.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. So I got to ask the $1,000,000 question. What do you do to manifest things that like when it's working? Like, what does it look like when it's working? What are you doing every day? What kind of mindset do you have to be in? Or basically,
Yeah.
like for everybody listening that wants to use the law of attraction, but actually, skip all the stuff that doesn't work. What actually does work that you found?
So well, I'm happy to first I could teach my favorite method from the book that I personally attributed mostly to that whole money thing. And I could also tell people what I do every single day. But I'll say this in terms of the mindset, a lot of people think that they have to believe it in order for it to happen. And I'm a little bit left of center and controversial in that. No, all you have to do is engage in these methods whether you believe in them or not, and just enjoy the method for the sake of enjoying the method. Meaning, if
Mm.
you can put yourself in a position where you are experiencing gratitude and feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, it's going, if you don't believe in the universe, just understand that it's going to be programming your subconscious mind to go on autopilot and start facilitating certain actions that are going to lead to what you want. But that said, with that in mind, a really good routine or method that I love to use, I call it the time lapse. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down 15 things that you're grateful for. 5 of them are from your past, 5 are from your present, and 5 are future things that you want to happen. But you're going to phrase them all in the present tense, where if you read that list to somebody out loud, they wouldn't know whether it happened or it is happening or it didn't even exist yet. And then that present tense list, you're going to jumble it up. So maybe the first thing's a present, and then a future, and then a past, another presents, all jumbled up, doesn't matter. And you're going to go through that list and you're going to read one item at a time out loud or in your mind. And you're going to give yourself 20 to 60 seconds to just feel gratitude for that thing. And the really cool thing about this is 2/3 of that list is real. It either happened or is happening now, meaning your gratitude is going to have a certainty and a confidence and enthusiasm to it that you just can't manufacture. And since we as humans can't downshift very easily, when you're reading those 5 future things interspersed throughout, it's going to carry the same enthusiasm and confidence and certainty. Where again, if you don't believe in the universe or energy or anything like that, you could at least believe that you're programming your subconscious mind in a very powerful way. And it's fun, it's enjoyable. Now, with that said, even though I use that a lot back when I was getting things on track, the one thing that I use every single day is I record a message of things that I'm grateful for, and I send that message to a friend across the country, and he does the same thing for me. And what we've done here is we've installed a social pressure where this can take 30 seconds or 90 seconds or 5 minutes, whatever I want. Very easy, very quick, very enjoyable. And I don't want to let my friend down, so I do this every single day. I reaffirm my gratitude every single day. I reinforce my success and my momentum every single day, and he does the same thing for me.
That's really cool. Definitely two things I haven't quite heard that variety of. So that's awesome, man. So I always try and figure out, why the law of attraction is working. And my theory is your subconscious is connected to the universe or life energy or whatever it is. And just like how we breathe and we do all sorts of things that are necessarily out of our control, but are part of our living organism and everything like that. So when we hold the vibration of gratitude inside of our body or inside of our selves, it connects to the subconscious, and then the subconscious it gives you whatever you're feeling, really, like whatever vibration you're at, because emotions are something that we kind of have control over, but they're much more of our animal nature than it is anything else, so when we have that frequency of gratitude, of positivity, and we hold that frequency for like a number of days, that's how we connect to the subconscious, and the subconscious basically delivers us that. I know that's kind of a weird thing, but I've been in the trenches, meditating and trying to manifest everything, and it doesn't always like work exactly, but that's my theory, at least. Do you agree, or what is your theory on how?
Yeah, well, I think that's a really great explanation. And I think the thing about it is, if you look at any of us under a microscope, you don't see something solid, you see vibration.
Yeah.
If I were to blow a dog whistle as loud as I could right now into this microphone, your ears would not be bothered one bit. But a dog would be freaking out, which is another way of saying there are things happening really outside of our senses that we can't perceive. Like if I call you on the phone, sure, if the phone's plugged into the wall, I could make up a story in my head that there's a really long wire that somehow connects to you, but it's not. So why is it so believable that I can call you on the phone and we could have a conversation in real time across the world? It's because we've been told about satellites and we understand that science. We've accepted that reality. But the fact of the matter is, our voice is carrying over in real time across a wide span. And we don't, our senses aren't picking up how that's happening. So by that same token, the way I explain it to people is like, it's almost like lifting weights to get muscles. And everyone understands that. You lift weights, you get muscles, right? Well, I'll give you 2 explanations as to how that actually happens. Explanation number 1 is when you lift weights and you go to sleep at night, the muscle fairy comes and she waves her magic wand and poof, muscles. Or explanation number 2, when you are lifting weights, you're putting so much stress on your body that their muscles, like in your arms, for example, are tearing in little areas. And then your body responds by healing, by filling in those tears with more muscle fiber. That's hence more muscles. Now, most people are gonna be like, hey, Andrew, that's a pretty butchered explanation, but I'll go with number 2. But I tell them, you know what, actually doesn't matter. What matters is you lift weights, you get muscles. You put in X, you get Y. And by that same token, while I believe there is a vibration and a frequency that when you put out there attracts what you want. Even if you don't believe it, if you do gratitude exercises or visualization exercises, you will get those results, and by hook or by crook it'll happen. But really, just because I'm the king of long-winded answers today, to address one thing where you said it doesn't work all the time, I have a belief in, what's been true for me, why that happens as well. Because oftentimes I've been guilty of this myself. We do the method to get the result, which is
Mhm.
like, well, duh, Andrew, you've got this book, you're trying to sell a book. Why are you? Of course, you're saying do the method, get the result. But really, what you want to do is you want to do the method for the sake of enjoying the method, for feeling good. And then indirectly, that'll bring about the result. Because when you're doing the method with the intention of getting the result, all you're basically doing without realizing it is affirming to yourself, to your subconscious mind, and to the universe the lack of it, the fact that you don't have it. So rather than reinforce that, I'd say, let me just have gratitude for this thing, not even caring about how it's going to be brought to me or when it's going to be brought to me. Let me just feel good thinking about that thing. And
Yeah.
oftentimes that speeds it up to me rather than slowing it down.
You know what's funny is like when you're doing a process, like you're trying to get to the goal, we almost all, as soon as we're really close to actually achieving the goal, we have that feeling inside ourselves like, okay, it's going to happen now. And then it does happen now. So
Mhm.
it's just kind of funny to think about, like, because we put all this work in, and the whole time we're working, we have this feeling like, okay, this is going to come, it's going to come, it's going to come. And then finally, once we've like tired ourselves out, we've like done everything we can, like inside ourselves is what I'm saying. We're now thinking, it's here now, it's ours. And then it actually does happen. And it's interesting to think about that, because instead of, it's like we call it the law of attraction, but if we just had the law of like already having,
Mhm.
you know, if we
That'll be my
we
next
just,
book.
yeah, the law of already having, yeah, then it will appear, it's just kind of an interesting thing. So what, got any cool success stories of things that you've attracted into your life that worked out for you?
Well, I'll tell you that obviously that there's a couple of things. Well, one, that experience of 2 weeks to 6 months where things just unfolded was amazing. I'll tell you, within that time period, without even trying, I lost 25 pounds over a period of 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was just sitting around doing nothing. I mean, I was working out with Sensei, but I was just doing that to feel better about myself because I just went through a horrible breakup. I wasn't
Yeah.
watching the scale. In other words, this thing, even though I was taking inspired action, this thing magically happened for me. But even the book itself, like, because again, I tell you about that routine I have with my friend where every single day we send each other gratitude. We've been doing that for 4 years,
That's powerful.
meaning before I ever actually completed and published a book, I would include future things along with current things where like, dude, I'm so grateful that I'm getting all these 5-star rave reviews. I'm so grateful that I'm getting these awesome people writing in, letting me know that this stuff is really helping them and change their lives. I'm so grateful to have to be able to say I have a #1 bestseller in multiple categories on Amazon. I'm so grateful to be able to go on all these podcasts and talk about it. I would talk about things like that. So if you're asking for a success story, we are in the middle of it right now. Me having this
Nice.
conversation with somebody cool like you is part of one of those things that I attracted through my intention.
Yeah, I love that. Just to be purely selfish, how many days does it take to attract something? What's your guess?
Yeah, so this is the funny thing, and this is the most frustrating thing, because it could take 1 day or 1 decade, depending on what it is and what you're doing. Because again, um, I'll give you an example. I'm going to be very careful because I don't want to badmouth somebody who might end up hearing this interview.
No
But
worries.
somebody that I hired did a really bad job about something because they trusted somebody else. I'm talking in code here, but the point is, I was in a situation where I invested money and I was counting on what I feel are flaky people in order to get something done. And
Yeah.
based on what I know about these people, I'm like, there's nothing I can do. These people just don't care, which is something that really triggers me. I hate that. I hate people that take your money for something and don't care to serve you. But that's neither here nor there. Point
Yeah.
is, this was not too long ago. I'm tossing and turning and I'm upset trying to get to sleep. And I'm like, every single second that I'm stressed out about this, I'm attracting something bad. What do I got to do?
I know.
I just gave up. I said, I don't know. Even now, me, this guy who wrote the last law of attraction book you ever need to read, I don't know if I call you God. I don't know if I call you universe. I don't know if I call you higher self. I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. I am turning this over to you. Please, just handle this for me because I can't do it.
Yeah.
And the next morning it was resolved.
Wow.
And but by that same token, if somebody is really, holding on to something for dear life and they feel like, again, they're reaffirming without realizing it that they're reaffirming that they're not going to get that job promotion, they're not going to get that big client, they can
Yeah.
go a decade. So I would say this: if you do a simple the one or two of the methods I gave you, or any other gratitude method every day for 30 days, not caring about what happens, you're going to get some really awesome result. And then once you've gotten the awesome result, you've demonstrated for yourself that this is possible. And then you'll be more inspired and motivated to keep it up and attract those things, which can come in a day or can come in a month or can come in a year.
I was just talking to some stock trader guy, and he said it takes 29 days to create new neural pathways. So if you're going to be learning anything, so I was like, maybe that's how many days it takes to create this new neural pathway to be connected to the thing that I'm trying to attract. It was just a theory that I figured out.
It's interesting because like those 29 days, and people said 21 and 28 and 30.
Yeah.
To those, whatever that is, that's to create the neural pathway in the sense of building the habits so that you can trust yourself to do it every day. Yeah. But you can shock yourself on day 3 or day 4. Like you haven't even done the habit yet. You haven't got a consistent habit, but because you put out the energy, the intention, the programming to your subconscious mind, maybe you walked into an opportunity right then and there and you took advantage of it.
Yeah, I think creating the habit of the law of attraction is the most powerful thing you could do. It's very meta, but
yeah. Well, I'm the king of long book titles. I'm gonna have to borrow that from you and make that another book title. Right? You can fit it all in one cover.
Manifest that. Yeah. No. But it is a nice thing to know that no matter where you are in life, if you were to start every day feeling more gratitude, feeling more positive, that you can turn your life around, just knowing or just having that hope. I think that is the most powerful message of all of it. And then when good things finally do start happening to people because they buckle down and they do your gratitude practices or they do the law of attraction things, I think that is a life-changing thing. And even though you can't say we understand everything about the law of attraction, there's no way, because it's so much bigger than us. It's so much, it's kind of an abstract concept, but so many people talk about it and so many people sharing the message is so powerful that there has to be, like, I've had some interesting experiences in my life, being in the Army, being in like very whack places. And then I've actually experienced miracles that I have no concept of totally explaining how they happened, So there's just things that are happening in life that we don't 100% understand or know, but the more we drill down, the closer we get to figuring it out and spreading the message like you're doing. I think it's just a very powerful thing to do. So
thank you. And thank you, by the way, for your service. I truly mean that. Much respect to you. And to your point, I think it's good that we don't understand it completely. I think it's a gift when you don't know for sure how something's going to happen, because that leaves a lot of possibilities for how it's going to unfold. So there's not so much stress on it. And by the way, if I'm lying or I'm delusional right now, the cool thing about these methods is even if you didn't get this big thing that you wanted, you still at least invested for free, 5 minutes a day of feeling good. And, scientific studies will show you that gratitude improves sleep, it reduces anxiety and increases confidence. Like, you would get a win no matter what, even if you never got this really cool quote unquote law of attraction result. You just get a win by taking 5 minutes out of a day where you could have instead been worrying about signing a client or pissed off at a vendor or something like that. You're basically giving yourself the gift of the departure from whatever stress you might be feeling, especially in this day and age when, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there in the news and stuff, and you've given yourself the gift of feeling good.
Yeah. I like the idea of you putting it into the universe, like you said, where you tell your friend, like, this is what I'm doing right now. That's really good. So I got to find a friend now. We'll talk to my dog or something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Robert, like if you could find somebody to kick it back to you, then it reinforces that there's a social pressure. But I've had, clients, I mean, I call them clients because I only work with them once and get them on their way. I don't keep them with me because I figured they don't need me the whole time. But they had some people where they'll just record it for themselves every single day. They feel silly, but no one's around. And it's basically because I have one thing I teach, which I did not make up myself. I just teach my own version of it. It's called scripting, which is writing or journaling about your life in the present tense, as if you're already living your dream life. And you write down, I'm so happy and grateful for X, Y, Z. Sometimes, again, you can trick your subconscious mind by including things that already happened along with things that you want to happen, all in the present tense. But some people don't like to write and some people don't like to type. So what I'm really describing here that I do with my friend is spoken scripting. I just take a few minutes and I say it rather than typing or writing it. And you can do that on your own or to your dog. And as long as you don't feel silly, you're still putting it out there because you're still speaking to the universe, or you're speaking to your subconscious mind, or you're speaking to whatever power you believe is there to help guide you and help facilitate the result that you want.
Yeah, I think my dog would appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. I wonder what practice would trigger the most senses. I know that's kind of a weird thing, but I wonder if speaking it, because then you hear it, you saying it, you feel it in the vibrations. When you're writing it down, it's more in your head. But There's a lot of clarity. I want to practice something like this for 30 days because you're not the first person to tell me like this works. And the idea of writing it and actually manifesting it and speaking it into the universe is, I think, the next key. And it's one of the most powerful things that you can really do to fully use the law of attraction to your advantage,
Yeah.
So,
Well, to answer that real quick for you, because I'm a strategy guy. For me, this is all about what can you strategically do to like inevitable thinking. How do you set up the conditions? If you're talking about what's going to engage your mind the most and fire the most synapses, I'd say you write it and then you read it out loud. So you've engaged everything.
There we
And
go.
then you close your eyes and visualize it. However, there's a higher level answer. The highest level answer is, regardless of what fires the most synapses, what do you enjoy the most? Because the enjoyment of it will keep you doing it for 30 days, because the bare minimum of these things where you only do one or the other is more than enough. So the most important thing is that you've picked the one that you enjoy the most so that you're the most consistent with it.
Nice. And then, I mean, of course, there's always the step where we have to take action. I feel like there's always, there's the you don't just get anything for free. You do have to get in the right mindset. You obviously should be completely putting all your energy, not all your energy, but a lot of your energy into manifesting, into bringing it to you. But you still have to go open the door physically. You still have to go outside or pick up the phone, to have the miracle officially come in to your life, I think. So
yeah,
we're not trying to say it's all.
And just for clarity, I mean, this is only my perspective. You're right. Action is absolutely required, but I would say the best, healthiest action, the most effective, most productive, most efficient action is the action that's inspired. Meaning you're not going to get where you want to get just by sitting on your couch meditating. However, if you do that for a week, maybe you give yourself patience and space for an idea to pop in your head. You're like, oh, okay, boom. Or maybe you're just like in the shower and inspiration hits. Like me, we were saying before we officially hit the record button, I was telling you that the writing of this book, well, just spitting it out on the page was easy, but the massaging of the words to make sure that it was absolutely perfectly articulated, for me, that was stressful. I didn't enjoy that. However, it was inspired action, because every day I would look at the cover I created. I would have this intention of what I'm going to do. So even when it was difficult, I was excited about it, and it was inspired action that led to a good result.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned that you're really good at helping people maybe with procrastination. Do you have any tips that we could maybe talk about that?
Yeah. So here's the way I explain it. The way I put in the book, I view us as having three minds. And, a clinical psychologist probably won't agree with all my definitions, but the way I see it is we've got the conscious mind and we've got the subconscious mind. And right in the middle, we've got the ego. Now, the ego is way stronger than the conscious mind, but nothing is stronger than the subconscious. But the ego, as I define it, is that part of your mind that has only like one job, and that job is to keep you alive. That means anyone listening right now, whatever money problems you have right now, whatever relationship problems, right, you have, even whatever health problems you have, all your ego knows is that in this moment right now, you are alive. And the last thing it wants to do is risk the status quo if it has anything to say about it. So there might be someone out there who wants to be rich and famous, but for all your ego knows is if you're famous, you're going to get a stalker, and that's a threat to your survival. For all your ego knows is if you get money, family, distant family, your in-laws are going to come out of the woodwork and try to take your money from you. It's a threat to your survival, right? Ego doesn't want to risk that because it loves you. It's trying to protect you, but it's not interested in your fulfillment, your satisfaction, your comfort, your happiness, or your joy. Meaning what you got to do is, that means like when you try to wake up every day and work out every single day or do something else, it's your ego you think it's your voice, but it's your ego that's stronger than your conscious mind that's talking you out of doing this. So what we want to do is we want to bypass the ego and access the subconscious mind. And while I don't have the perfect answer for working out from a law of attraction context, the trick is doing one of these methods that's fun, because when it's fun and easy to do, it's a choice rather than a chore. It's something that you get to do rather than something that you have to do. Because I challenge you to find me a football fanatic, someone who's been into it all their life, who tells you, oh, I can't believe this, I have to go to the Super Bowl. No, they're excited. They want to go to the Super Bowl. The whole thing about this is, what can you find that's fun and enjoyable, that's so enjoyable that your ego can't talk you out of doing it. And then once you do that for 30 days, it's going to pick up a momentum all its own, because again, your ego can talk your conscious mind out of it. It's got nothing to say to the subconscious mind. It's just too powerful.
Yeah, you blew my mind there. I like that, thinking about the ego, because that is kind of the battle that we get through when you want to manifest things. It's like you got to have the inner battle, but the inner battle is just trying to keep you alive. And it's just kind of like that reptile brain that's like,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
It's funny because your ego's not insightful enough to know that when you get all that money, it's actually good and safer for you, but it is shrewd enough to talk you out of it in any which way it can. It knows your weaknesses, it knows your insecurities, it knows your doubts, it knows just what to say to you to get you to not take that step or keep up with that method.
Yeah, and it's just that little split second where it's like, no, if you stay on this couch, you're safe. Don't go open the door and get that $1 million.
Yeah. Well, it's more like,
we don't know what it's like out there.
It's like it's safe, but it's telling you, oh, you're so comfortable. You could work out tomorrow. You're like, you can miss one day. Like, it's okay. That ice cream looks really good right now. Let's just, you deserve a day off. You've been working hard. And then boom, you're not working out. You're out of shape. A year later, you're like, what happened? Oh my God.
Yeah. I love the war of art when he says resistance is creeping under every nook and cranny, always trying to keep you from achieving your goal, being creative and being your best self. So the ego can be a lot like resistance, where it's just lurking under the shadows, under your bed, from stopping you from achieving your goals, stopping you from being your best self. So watch out for resistance. That's the funny thing.
And it loves you, but forgive it and understand that when you have those doubts, like, okay, it's just trying to keep me safe, but I understand that there's a higher level here. Let me do something I enjoy that's going to get me there.
Yeah. Well, since you're the man for the law of attraction, what else do you do to facilitate?
These days, this is it. I mean, I've been a copywriter, which I actually used as a style to make sure that the book flowed, hopefully in an easy way to make people enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
But I've been a copywriter. I've been a marketing consultant. No one can hire me right now. I'm having too much fun doing this.
Yeah.
Like I'm basically devoting all my time towards like talking to awesome people like you and to creating content for my YouTube channel. Like that's everything. That's my 2021 and probably years and beyond, because as long as I'm having fun and as long as I'm getting results for people, this is the best opportunity I've had in my life. So I'm just going to ride that wave.
Yeah, I've recently been falling in love with copywriting. Not so much the actual writing, but just the reading about it, like understanding persuasion and like headlines and bullet points and everything else. It's just well, it's a fun way to use words. Yeah, to impact people.
We're studying human nature. I find it massively intriguing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So how long did you do that copywriting for?
I mean, I've been doing it off and on. Like, I became a way stronger copywriter in 2015, but I probably started like more like 2013. I mean, to anyone out there who improves fast, kudos to you. It really is. It's a craft. It's something that you really got to work at. I think the best thing you can do is, read books by people that know what they're doing, but also write, like just put it out there and play around, because you're making the connections in your brain when you're doing that in a higher level. And kudos to you, man. I'm sure, like, I can tell even by the way you run an interview, I'm sure that you would probably improve very quickly in copywriting, like without a problem.
Well, as soon as I figured out that copywriting is really built, I already do all the research. I'm always really good at sales. So as soon as I figured out that it's built, I don't have to like worry about like writing craziness. It just has to be pieced together of amazing pieces to fully like capture the idea and take a person on the journey and get the action, It's just become kind of a passion project of something fun in marketing I enjoy, as opposed to like yelling at Facebook ads and all sorts of other stuff.
I hear you, man. I hear you. My favorite tools are asking questions and pattern interrupts, because both of those are, again, I mean, I try to do this all with integrity, and I hope everyone does that too. But when you ask questions and pattern interrupts, you're helping guide the mind, not toward the result that you want, but toward the understanding that you want the reader to have. So it's fun, man. And it's fun to try to come up with good pattern interrupts and really good, insightful questions for their brain to kind of chew on and figure out.
Yeah, well, it makes you wonder, like you wrote this book and it all kind of came together, and then to get it to sell, you probably used your copywriting skills, and then to get good reviews from people, it really just, but it's just like, sometimes you have to use good copy or good marketing to change people's lives. Like you got to force feed them the medicine that they need in order for them to wake up and try and do more.
Well, it's funny, like this book, it's a sales book, but it's selling them on themselves. Like I think a lot of people can relate to when like they'll get a pamphlet in the mail about a new health supplement. It's going to help their blood pressure or whatever it might be. And if you've ever read those things, even if you're not interested in improving the part of your life, you'll notice that they're very good at just being interesting enough to guide you through the page. I wanted to do that with this book, or, in the stuff that I do. I just want people to be enjoying the message and be entertained enough by it, so that when I give them insights, their brain just receives it so much more easily. So mine was like copywriting, just selling them on their ability to do the methods. Because again, they already bought the book. So it's not like, they're going to spend more money. Like, no, here's to do the method, get the result. And then again, it sounds ambitious and almost pretentious, but they are forever changed by that. And that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, no, totally. If you can entertain and educate, that's where the sweet spot is for people to get through the book and then finish the book, and then everything else. I think that's so awesome, man. So I'm all about the listener's success and just kind of helping them achieve the most that they possibly can. Is there anything you think that we haven't talked about that could help others and listeners be more successful?
Um, the one thing, I mean, I would say, and again, this will be more easily received by people that are kind of on board with the law of attraction, or willing to have an open mind to receive it. But one thing I talk about, I call it manifestational raindrops. And I think everyone can relate to kind of like being out on a cloudy day and they feel like a little tickling on their skin or their scalp, like there's a little bit of moisture, but it's not raining. And then drops get a little bigger and they can see that like on their clothes, and then they can hear it hitting the ground, and all of a sudden it's a torrential downpour, right? Whereas like a couple minutes before, it was hardly even perceptible, right? And I say this in the sense that, we see indicators all around us of our success on the way, but it's in our celebration and recognition and acknowledgement of that success that we accelerate it. Because you can hold up an umbrella of resistance and keep yourself dry, but the storm is inevitable. Like, in other words, if you find a penny on the street, it sounds ridiculous to certain people, but that's the universe giving you money. And it's an indicator like, look, free money. And
Yes.
rather than holding up an umbrella and keeping it away, I would be like, let me celebrate that penny. And then all of a sudden I get an extra dollar, and all of a sudden I get an extra client, and all of a sudden I sell an extra 20 books. It's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I remember the first time I in the book, I call it the pennies to millions method. I'm like, the next penny I find, I'm going to celebrate it like you wouldn't believe. And I didn't
I
get a
like it.
penny that day. I got 200 pennies because I ordered food and the person gave me extra change by $2 extra. So I got 200 extra pennies, and I gave her the money back because I didn't want her to get in trouble, but not before I celebrated and acknowledged, like, oh my God, look, I brought 200 of these pennies to myself. And again, it sounds silly, but when you engage in these manifestation raindrops, like, you will be shocked, because if you want to find the love of your life, getting matched or getting a like on that dating app is a manifestational raindrop. The first date is a raindrop. The first kiss is raindrop. The first time you hold hands is raindrop. And like, these are all raindrops leading up to that storm of that perfectly happy, fulfilled marriage that you want, or whatever it might be.
Oh man, that's so cool. I love that. Little raindrops. So let's just talk like a few more steps ahead. So
Hmm.
say somebody's, the dumps of the dumps, depressed, broke, ugly, tired, sick, everything. Where they start by waking up in the morning, writing down the I am currently happy, I am currently rich, I am, manifesting these things. This is what you said. You kind of start with like saying in the present instead of what's actually happening, like this is what I feel inside and this is what I want to attract to me. What would be the next step that you recommend people do?
Well, so just to make sure we're clear on that step, like, if when things were going wrong and the company was done,
Yeah.
I didn't write I am rich, because reading that, it felt like a lie to me and it felt bad.
Yep.
So if that feels good, yes, write that, but you want to get as specific as you need to, in terms of that it still feels good and still feels possible and doesn't feel like a mile away. So you might just be like, I am happy and grateful for these things in my life, and you'll sneak in like, things are getting better and better. More and more money is on the way. Like, the opportunity is right there. But really, here's the funny thing. People, again, my ego used to overcomplicate this process. There's not much more to it than that. There's not much more to it than doing this every day, and then when you're inspired to take action, do action. Like, the key to this isn't having some grander, more elaborate, more complicated version of this. The key is just being consistent day in and day out and enjoying it. Again, it's kind of like, it's like working out. I mean, I know workouts can get more complicated, but just in the sense that, as long as you're doing a part of your body, you're working on back today, you're working on legs tomorrow, working on arms next day. As long as you're doing that every single day, your body's going to get healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier. You're going to add a little more weight as you get better, but it's not going to be some like elaborate new exercise. You're still lifting, you're still doing the bench press. So I would caution people to think that there is a more complicated step. Like, the next step after doing this is learning to appreciate and enjoy and receive all the stuff that comes to you. Learning
Right.
to accept, like, I don't even know if I believe in the law of attraction or not, but I do know that when I did this thing, I got these results. So the next step isn't another way to get more. The next step is appreciating it as it comes in. Because for me, all it really has taken is just, instilling gratitude. And you mentioned something really important. And again, I want to be the king of long-winded answers on this. You mentioned waking up like depressed and down. Like, how's someone even gonna be grateful in a moment like that? How's
Yeah.
someone gonna be grateful when they just had their heart broken, or they just lost their bit? Like, oh my God. Well, here's what you do. There's always something to be grateful for. For example, the heart beating in your chest right now. Your heart has been beating in your chest every single second of every single day for decades, not only since the day you've been born, but since the day before you were born, since you were in the womb. It's bringing blood and nutrients to all these other parts of your body. You have eyes to see this. You have ears to hear this. You have the device that you're listening to this on that you can use to run your business, that you can use to handle email, to do text messaging, to be on, to look up medical advice, to do all these different things, to get that dating app, to meet the love of your life. There are so many things to be grateful for. There's so much opportunity, even when you're having a bad day. And the most strategic thing you can do, even in the realization that you're going to be in a bad mood, the most strategic thing you can do is take out 90 seconds and just try to look around you. What can you be grateful for? And what if someone said, well, I'm going to take this away unless you tell me why you should have it? Those reasons make you grateful. If someone tries to take your laptop, you haven't been grateful for it for like a year. And like, if you don't tell me why you want this laptop, I'm taking it. Like, it helps me with email. It helps me write Word documents. It helps me do, oh my God, this laptop's awesome. You know, if you can't tell me, Andrew, why you should be grateful for having this conversation with Robert right now, he's going to hang up and he's never going to publish this. Oh my God. Well, one, like this dude is cool. Like he served, and I really respect that. This dude has asked me awesome, insightful questions. You can tell he really cares about his audience. I really think that this is going to be an awesome episode. Oh my God, I'm grateful. Like it will come. It might not be as dramatic as I'm doing it, but I've been doing this for years, so it becomes really easy to me. But you will be pleasantly surprised by feeling just a little bit better when you make the positive intention to find something to be grateful for, because there's always something there, regardless of what kind of day you're having.
Woo! That was some fire, man. Appreciate that. That's good. I think everybody listening is motivated now to do some more law of attraction stuff.
Hell yeah.
So why don't you, thank you so much I'm very grateful for you coming on the show. Why don't you tell everybody the best places to find you online or to learn more about you or to get your book?
Yeah, man. Well, I got two easy links. First one is lastlawofattractionbook.com, and that'll just auto-forward to the Amazon site where you can get either Kindle or paperback or audiobook if you want to listen to me talk fast for 4.5 hours instead. But if you don't want to pull your wallet out, you can just go to youtube.com/Andrew Cap. That's 1K and 1P. And that's where I have my Law of Attraction channel where I teach new methods. I try to throw a little extra humor in there. And I even feature other Law of Attraction experts if I could find them. So hopefully there's something there waiting for people as well. Either way, I hope that the content that I have on both of those websites provides value for people. And I really appreciate you, Robert, having me on, man. This has been a blast, and I really do appreciate your interview style, and I love the intention of what you're doing with this show.
Yeah, thanks, man. No problem. So I do have one last question, and it's just kind of, I'm trying to ask it to everybody or a couple of them, but it's just, how do you get motivated to live a better life or live a bigger life? Like, what does motivation mean to you? And, how can you help others?
Yeah. So I have learned that the most selfish thing that you can do in your life is be selfless. And what I mean by that is, I think everyone out there wants to be a billionaire, but I guarantee you do not want to be a billionaire in a world that's in ruins. Because if you're a billionaire in a world that's in ruins, you can't go to your favorite pizza spot. You can't see your favorite movie. You can't go out on dates. You can't, like, in other words, a rising tide, raises all ships, they say, right? So for me, what keeps me motivated, even as cliche as it sounds, is being in service to others through what I'm doing, because I realize by doing that, I am bringing good to myself. I'm making my life better by doing what I can to make other people's lives better. And you don't have to write a Law of Attraction book to do that. You can do that through your marketing service that's helping someone with their business. You can do that through, selling housing fixtures that makes people comfortable in their homes. Or you can do that regardless, like as aside from your business, just being there. If you notice somebody in need, you help them out, So what keeps me motivated is knowing that when I'm helping people, I'm making my life better. So I will be as selfish as I need to be to help other people.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome, man. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening today. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'll thank you again, man. This has been a really, really enjoyable conversation, man. And you can see my long-winded answers. You obviously put a lot of info out for me. So thank you for that.
No worries. And thanks everybody for listening and investing the time. Go check out his book. That was the lawofattractionbook.com. And
last lawofattractionbook.com.
The last lawofattractionbook.com. We'll fix that way. Thank you, everybody. Bye.